Okay, so number 15 is one where you have to write the equation for a parabola that goes through 3 points, 0, 5, 1, -1, and 3, -1. So this is going to be one where you have to write your equation in standard form. Remember, standard form is f of x equals ax squared plus bx plus c, right? And so what we're going to do is we're going to take each of the points 0, 5. This is where you have to write 3 equations and put them into a system of equations. All right, so I'm going to label this as x1 and y1, x2, y2, x3, and y3. That just lets me know to keep these x's and y's together. All right, so then with each of these points, what do I do with them? Does anybody know? We put them into what? Into the standard form equation. Remember, f of x is the same thing as y, right? And so we just take each of the points and substitute them in. That will give us our 3 equations. So if I'm doing that with the point 0, 5, the 5 is the y value, right? So it's going to be 5 equals a times 0 squared, right? Plus b times 0, right? And then plus c. And if I simplify this, what would that actually come out to? 5 equals c. Right, because 0 times anything just cancels it out. So these a and b are multiplied by 0, so they're gone, right? So that's one of my equations that I'm going to be using in the system to solve the actual equation. All right, so we have to repeat the same process for all of our points. So going on to the second point, the y value is -1, and then what would be on the right side here then? A times 1 squared.
Plus b times 1 plus c.
That's right, plus b times 1 plus c. And we have to simplify this. And if I simplified everything, it would come out to -1 equals a plus b plus c. That's right. Because 1 squared is 1, 1 times a is a, and then 1 times b is b. So that's my second equation. Now I've got to do it for the third and final point. So my third point, the y value is -1, once again, equals, and this time it's going to be a times 3 squared, right, plus b times 3 plus c. That's right. There we go. All right, when we're simplifying this, though, -1 equals, what do I need to do first with this a3 squared value? Square the 3. If I square 3, what is that?
9.
So that's like 9a then, right? So 9a plus 3b plus c, right? There are my 3 equations. So now with these 3 equations, I'm going to write that into the system right here. So it's going to be 5 equals c, -1 equals a plus b plus c, and -1 equals 9a plus 3b plus c. Now with these, you're always going to be able to use substitution, right? Because we can see that 5 equals c. We already know what c is. So that's one of my values right there. So now to solve the system, the first thing that we do is what?
Label.
We label before that, so we can keep track of what we're doing, right? But then what were we saying? We plug in the c, right? So we take each of the equations, 1 and 2, and we plug in c. So equation 1 was -1 equals a plus b, but what is c? So plus the 5. And now we're going to move the 5 to the other side because we want to keep the variables and the numbers separate. So what do I do?
Subtract 5.
Subtract 5, that's right. So my new equation is going to be? -6 equals a plus b, right. This is going to be equation number 3. That's one of my new equations. So now I need to do the same thing with equation number 2. So equation number 2 is -1 equals 9a plus 3b plus 5, because c is 5, right. And then what do I want to do? Subtract 5 from both sides, right. And then my new equation is going to be what? That's right. And this is going to be equation number 4. So we can see that now we've got our 2 new equations, right? And with our 2 new equations, we're going to pair them together to try to find out the variables a and b. Okay, so let's see. We got 3 and 4. Whoa. So I'm going to rewrite them down here so I have some space. So we got -6 equals a plus b, and we got -6 equals 9a plus 3b. How do you suggest we solve for the variables?
Multiply them
Right, we multiply equation 3 by negative 3. That would let me cancel out the b values, right? So what would my new equation here be after I multiply? 18 equals negative 3a minus 3b, that's right. And our second equation is unchanged, so it's negative 6 equals 9a plus 3b. And so when I add these two equations together, the b's cancel, and what's left? 12 equals 6a, right. And then how do I solve for a from here? Divide by 6. So a equals?
2.
So a equals 2. I found a. Now what other variable should I be able to find right now? B, that's right. Which equation do you want to use to find b? 3. 3 is really simple. We got a plus b, so 3 says negative 6 equals a plus b. But what is a? So negative 6 equals 2 plus b, and then how can I find b? Subtract 2. And so b equals negative 8. So now you can see I have a, that's 2, b is negative 8, and c is from my original equals 5, right? But remember, we're writing an equation in the form of f of x equals ax squared plus bx plus c. So we just replace a, b, and c with the numbers that we found. So my final answer should be, what should my final answer be? F of x equals 2 x squared minus 8 x plus 5, right. Because the 2 is the a, the negative 8 is the b, and the positive 5 was our c. And that would be your final answer.